I actually didn't move away from engineering. I upgraded from being an electrical engineer to a life engineer. It's so much about having that we forget living, you know? Living is what life is for.
What's your favorite pizza?
Today's episode of Model Masters is brought to you by TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is your best friend on your road to YouTube success. I use it every day on my channel to get more views and subscribers, automate the boring tasks, and split test my thumbnails and titles. I've done over 3,800 split tests, which have led to results like taking this 5-year-old video that was getting 250 views a day, and just by changing the thumbnail, it blew up to 15,000 views per day. You can get started on TubeBuddy for free at tubebuddy.com/Evan.
There he is, Mr. Gaur Gopal Das. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you doing, Ivan? How's Canada? Are you in Canada at the moment?
I'm at home, Canada, Toronto. Everything is everything's safe. All my friends, family safe. So nothing to complain about here. But super excited to have you on. For everybody watching, if you don't know this man, if you want to get wisdom, if you want to be entertained, if you want to learn from what I think is maybe one of the greatest storytellers of our generation, you have to go check out his channel. And he's also the author of a new book called The Way of the Monk. Tell us quickly about the concept of the book, why you wrote it, and why people should care.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ivan, for your kind words. But I must say that you're doing such great work as well with your channel and your tagline. I suppose, what is it? Believe Nation?
That's it. That's it.
You're doing such an incredible job, man. And so firstly, my heartfelt congratulations and gratitude for doing what you're doing, trying to make the world a better place. So thank you very much. And in regards to the book, The Way of the Monk, it's about 25 years back that I decided to make the shift from being an electrical engineer to a monk, you know. In fact, a lot of people often ask me, why did you move away from engineering? And I tell them that I actually didn't move away from engineering. I upgraded from being an electrical engineer to a life engineer or a lifestyle engineer. And I always felt that it was moving from dealing with machines and systems to dealing with the human potential behind the machines and the systems. Mm-hmm. I was in Singapore doing an event called Masters of the Century, and I happened to share stage with Sophia, the humanoid, you know, the first artificial intelligence-based robot. She was interacting, she had human features. And when she was questioned about artificial intelligence, she said, "You humans are the ones who gave me this artificial intelligence." And she said, we as artificial intelligence driven robots are not meant to be competing against the human potential. We are meant to be complementing the human potential, you know. So I decided that I'm not going to work in the field of AI. I'm going to work in the field of RI, real intelligence.
I like that.
So move from technology to the human mind, the human potential. That's how I decided to be a monk. So when I joined the ashram, the monastery, I started learning the ancient wisdom from my teachers, from my gurus, from people around me, reading the books, reading the epics. And then I felt, as I was living there, I've been there for the last 25 years now, and I felt that monkhood has very little to do with what you wear. It has very little to do with your particular faith. It has very little or nothing to do with the place where you live, whether you live in a monastery or you live at a home or the demographics, the geography doesn't matter. It barely has anything to do with your hairstyle as well. And we share a similar hairstyle.
It's close. It's close. We both have the gold on too here.
Yes, we do. So monkhood really has little or nothing to do with these externals. Monkhood has a lot to do with the principles, the values. It has a lot to do with your mindset. Therefore, in The Way of the Monk, after every chapter, there's a section called the monk mindset. You know, it's that mindset which can really transform the way we live. It's that mindset which can transform our relationships, which can transform the way we grow professionally. It can transform the very experience of our life and allow us to tap into the deepest of our human potential. So, after realizing that this monk mindset is not limited to the boundaries of a monastery, I thought I must share this, you know. So, the way of the monk is trying to share the monk principles that I learned in the monastery and bring that to the world in a way that people can apply them, try to apply them, and see if we can bring a positive change in life. That was the logic behind writing the book. Yeah.
I'm so excited for it. I think, we profile many different monks on the channel, and a lot of times the message is a little hard to understand. And what you do so well is make it easy to understand and make it fun at the same time. For someone,
I try, man. I try my best.
But, I mean, in your videos, there's laughing, there's storytelling. It looks like you're having fun in the process, even when it's talking about something very serious and obviously helping people. What do you think is most people who read the book won't go become a monk and join an ashram. So what do you think is the biggest thing that we're missing that the average everyday non-monk person needs that they can benefit from the monk mindset?
I think what's happening a lot with our lives today is that we're living in a very fast-paced life. Life has become very fast. Achievements, social media statuses, what's our status on social media, how we achieve in our professional life. It's so much about having that we forget living, And life is not meant simply for having. Having is a part of life, correct? But living is what life is for. But in the process of having and chasing to have more, we forget to live well, And therefore, when we're talking about this monk principles or we're talking about this monk mindset, we're talking about making that choice and prioritizing to live well. And when we talk about living well, we talk about making those choices. We choose to live well. We choose to do things. And I feel that one of the greatest assets that each one of us has been gifted with is the power to craft our life, to choose to craft our life, to choose to sculpt our life. We are the architects of how our life should be. But unfortunately, we live so much in the default mode. Like it's funny, when we're talking about our iPhones, we don't keep our ringtones in the default mode. We customize them. When we wear clothes, we don't wear clothes that come in the default mode. We customize them. Even our pizza toppings, we customize them. So it's quite funny that we as human beings customize practically everything we have and do, but we live our life in the default setting without customizing it. Each one of us is different. Each one of us has a different situation in life. Each one of us has different backgrounds, different baggages we carry. And it's so crucial and important to customize a life that's worth living, So one thing that I definitely want to say, people who are not going to go to the ashram, and nobody needs to, monkhood is not about being in an ashram, definitely need to look at prioritizing how to customize their life. And that's then about making those choices.
What do you put on your pizza? What's your favorite pizza?
You to tell me yours first and then I'll answer, Ivan.
I like a lot of cheese and a lot of meat. So it'd be like lots of pepperoni and extra cheese.
Okay. For me, I like pesto sauce. I like pizzas with the pesto sauce, and I like jalapenos. I like, fresh olives, nicely fresh olives. I also love artichoke hearts.
Okay.
Toppings on my pizza. But more than pizza, we need to customize our lives for sure.
So if anybody's buying you pizza, they know what to order now. Why do we not customize our lives? Why do we feel like we can't? Is it that we're worried about our parents or our teachers or our culture or the people in our lives? Like why would we customize our phone in a second, but then when it comes to our lives, we feel like I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with being affected by the noise around us. There's so much noise around us. The education system is noise. You know, our upbringing often is noise. How we kind of comply with the social media standards of being acceptable and being cool to the world out there is noise. And in trying to comply with all that noise, we forget to listen to our own voice. You know, so we're so much conditioned to doing things the way the world does it. There are standards of what is success, the standards of what is cool, the standards of what's socially acceptable. But is your life cool? Have you chosen to live that way? Or is that noise and that influence making you live that way? And most often, if not always, it has a lot to do with that influence, correct? So I'm not saying education is wrong. I'm not saying our upbringing or the advice given by our family or our friends or our well-wishers is wrong. I'm just saying we cannot drown in that noise and lose ourselves. It's our life. It's our life. They're not going to live it for us. All those people who accept us because we show ourselves in a certain way on social media don't really come there when we need them the most. So sometimes I say we prioritize our online relationships so much that we forget our offline relationships, the real ones. When if I meet with an accident, if I'm ill, if I have an issue with my and financial issue, whatever issue or a problem, people online, they're good. They're good. Those friends on Facebook and Instagram, people who follow, they're good. Absolutely good. And with all good intentions, the most they can do is send you a message. The most they can do is send you a bouquet of flowers, get well soon messages, and they're great because they're sent with love and intentions, good intentions, they're great. But people who are going to be there around us are the real people, the real relationships. But in being accepted on social media and being accepted by the social standards of success, which I call noise, we get so drowned in that noise that we forget our voice. So that's a conditioning event, that we got so conditioned to live like that we don't now want to customize, which basically means we have to come out of that shell, to come out of that loop. We have to crack that conditioning, crack that loop. And that's when we can choose to customize.
You talked about the education system. Kids are going back to school in North America right now. If day one of every school was Gaur Gopal Das Day, and you get to be in front of the kids for the whole day, for one day, for every school across the world, what's the lesson that you're teaching, or what are you going to do for that one day to touch everybody's lives?
Yes. If I get to be in front of every kid in every school in the world, Evan, the one thing that I would like to teach or tell the students who are listening to me is that we cannot go on extreme sides of the spectrum. One extreme of the spectrum is follow your passion, be yourself, correct? Which is what I primarily teach as well. Like what Albert Einstein said, you cannot judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
Right.
You can't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. Judge the fish by its ability to swim in the water. Correct? Now, two things happen in that case. Number one, the fish is effective in doing what it can do because it's in its right habitat. And number two, it's satisfied because it's in the right habitat. Correct? Put a monkey in the water, the monkey is miserable. Put a fish on the tree, the fish is miserable. Put a monkey on the tree, the monkey achieves excellence. Put a fish in the water, the fish achieves excellence. So I'm one of the proponents. I'm a proponent of this principle that we must definitely encourage our kids to follow their potential and follow their passion. But what happens often is we go on such an extreme end of the spectrum that the other side, where what the education system has to offer is there are many good things in the education system as well. So if I were to talk to the students, I would say, let's find that balance, finding best of both the worlds, grab the best out of what you can have from the education system and let the education system also foster a culture, an ethic, an ethos, where we allow kids to be who they are. Yeah.
I like it. I think we got to make that happen. Gaur Gopal Das Day, gives to every student around the world for one day. I think that'd be great.
Of course, I'll say all of this in the form of a story.
Of course. No, I mean, that's great. Your stories are what makes it happen. I love it. How do you help people? What do you recommend people do to figure out if they're the monkey or the fish or the whatever? Like, how do you find that thing? Because it may not be what your parents are doing or what your friends are doing. You know, I'm sure the pressure for you to go be the engineer was great, and then to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be a monk. Like, how do people find that thing? How do you recommend when there's a lot of family pressure on them? How do they find the thing?
I find a lot of times it's an issue with the system. Correct? Like, for example, the industry, the corporate world, is only picking up people from the top-rated universities. The industry is only picking up students who have the best grades. Now, if you have people who are being picked up based on your university or based on your grades and your marks and your academic performance, then guess what parents are going to pressurize kids with? You better get the marks. You better get the grades. You better get to the best university. Correct? And guess what the educational institutions do? It's a demand and supply system. If the demand of the industry is grades and the parents are pushing to get grades, the educational systems are driven to make kids get grades. Now imagine if the industry changes and the corporate world redefines, saying we don't hire grades, we hire passion, we hire candidates for their passion. Correct? Now what are the parents going to say? Don't worry about the grades, son. Look at your passion. And what is the education system going to provide? How to look at your passion, correct? At the end of the day, it's about the demand and supply, really, you know? So in terms of how does a kid or how does an individual figure that out for himself or herself, number one is there is a voice from within us, correct? And there's a voice from within us that's constantly resonating with our soul saying, I love this, you know? I may be great at it or I may not be great at it, either or, whichever way. But I love this. I'm in absolute love with this. I can wake up early in the morning to do this, and I can go to bed like late in the night if I were doing this. I know that that's what it's really in sync with my soul, you know. Now, what happens with that is sometimes it's multiple things. It's 3, 4, 5 different things for people, right? And now if that be the case, then I think it's also over a period of time, we need to funnel it down, to narrow it down to that one thing. It's like being in love, right? A guy or a girl is in love with somebody. There's 3, 4 different people they're trying and seeing, and they're kind of exploring. But it's one person who like really, really strikes that chord. So one thing is to listen to your inner conscience constantly. People who are not in tune with their inner radar are not going to be able to find out what their passion is. If you're living in life only catering to the outside demands and not introspecting, not going deep to listen to your conscience and your inner voice, where's the question of figuring out what the passion is? You have to see what resonates with your soul. Right? Number 2 is it's not just about what I think I love. You know, I must also have the potential to develop that. Like I may love singing, but I may not have a voice at all. Right? So you need that element in you as well. So that element, we can figure that out based on people who observe us closely. It could be our family, our friends. It could be well-wishers, our guides. And often it could even be experts in that field who can see and identify that, hey, okay, he feels he loves it or she loves it, but there's also the element in this person which can be fanned, which can be triggered, and it can kind of turn into a burning inferno, you know, of excellence. Now, in having said that, the one issue that often comes is the family, isn't it? That's what you brought up. Like when I turned to be a monk, it wasn't an easy thing. If at least if I moved from being an engineer to something else in the corporate world, it was still fine. You can imagine my extreme choice. Giving up a white-collared Hewlett-Packard job to be a monk wearing robes and painting your face and staying in a monastery, sleeping on the floor. So it's kind of a little weird, but I think what it is when we stand up for ourselves, when we stand up for ourselves and when we are strong about what we want to do and something that's burning within us, right? We may not be able to do it instantly. We may not be able to do it instantly. People are not able to follow their passion straight away often, due to several reasons, due to family objections, due to financial liabilities, where they need to attend to a regular job to really take care of their financial liabilities. And it's important. It's violent to say that everybody should follow their passion. It's real, it's a reality, but there are real life situations which need to be attended to as well. So I often say, do not neglect your passion. You may postpone it.